Hello everyone, welcome to the CloudLearn AWS Zero to Hero series. This is the day 22 video. In this video, we are going to talk about a CloudFront service. We're going to talk about a service called a CloudFront. So first, I will explain what is this CloudFront and what is the advantage, and then we will understand how this CloudFront distribution works. So coming to this CloudFront is a content delivery network service. In short, we can call it as a CDN, content delivery network. And what is the use of this CloudFront? This can be used to speed up the delivery of the web content. So whatever the web content we are going to offer to the end users, that delivery will be, the speed of that particular delivery will be improved with the help of this particular CloudFront service. So how it works? If you go back to our global infrastructure concept, we heard about a term called edge location, right? With the help of the edge locations, this CloudFront can improve the delivery of the web content. How it works and all the things I will explain. Let me write down a point first and then we can move on with understanding the architecture of the CloudFront. Okay, so I can say with the help of the CloudFront distribution, the content can be anything. It can be image, video, or a regular data or whatever. The content can be cached, cache, cached at the edge locations so that the user can load the content from the nearest edge location with high speed and low latency. Okay, let me explain this. Let us say, so we already completed the S3 topic, right? Let us take the example of the S3 to understand this CloudFront better. So I created one S3 bucket, right? This is the S3 bucket in which I uploaded one object, image.jpg. Assume this is a public object, and this bucket is created in the Northern Virginia region. Okay, right. So now there are two users. Let us say this user, let us say his name is user1, who is located in the USA. And there is another user, let us say his name is user2, who is in India. Okay, so both are using same configuration laptop, same speed internet, everything is identical. And user1 try to access the image.jpg object from the S3 bucket, and it took 2 milliseconds to load the object. So this is called as a latency. Means the moment once he clicked on the object link, it took 2 milliseconds to load or open or download that particular image for the user one. And the user two, who is in India, is using the same speed internet, same kind of brand new laptop, everything is identical. He is also trying to access the same image.jpg. So now guess, like, or if you know, just you can answer in the comment section, how much time it will take for the user 2 to load the same image.jpg by assuming user 2 and user 1 are using same laptop on the same speed of internet. Do you think the user 2 can load or open that image in 2 milliseconds? No, it might take 10 milliseconds. 10 milliseconds. This is called as a latency because the user 2 is located far away from this particular S3 bucket. So here we call this bucket as origin. Origin means where the content is located. The user is located far away from the origin. Whenever the user 2 wants to open the image, he will click on the button, right? A request will be sent and a response will be received. As the request has to be traveled a longer distance, it takes some extra time. So that's why the user 2 can open that image with some delay. If you go back to like 2000s, like before 2010 or up to 2015 or so, even though you are using a high speed internet, and if you are opening some webs still till now also, if you try to open some websites to load the page completely, it will take a few seconds of time, right? Because you are far away from that particular server in which the website is hosted, and they are not properly maintaining this kind of a architecture. So here, what happens here is there is a concept called CloudFront. There is a concept called CloudFront, which is a content delivery network. What it will do, we need to create a CloudFront distribution which can distribute the content across the globe with high speed and low latency. How? Already we know AWS global infrastructure contains multiple things, right? One is a region, availability zone, and edge location, right? So now this edge location plays a major role in this CloudFront because these edge locations are located in major cities across the globe. Let us say this is one edge location, EL1. Let us say this is EL2, and here's something called EL3. Somewhere here, there is something called EL4. Now, what this CloudFront distribution does is, so it is connected with the S3. So it will cache the content across all the edge locations. It will cache. What is a cache? Temporarily, it will maintain that content in these edge locations. Even if you open your browser and if you type yahoo.com in your browser, the home page will be loaded, right? That home page will be cached in your browser's memory for some time, like 1 hour or until you close and reopen the browser. Which means in that time period, if you visit the same web page again, that web page will be loaded from your browser's cache instead of getting the data all the way from the Yahoo server. The same way, whenever the user, let us say this user to try to access the image.jpg, so the request will never go directly to the origin because the CloudFront is configured. The request will go to the nearest edge location. Nearest edge location. So in this edge location, let us say user 2 is the person who is trying to access this content for the first time. Then, as the content is not cached in the edge location, it will go to the origin and it will download and cache that image in this particular edge location 3. So for the first time, there will be a slight, I mean, there is no improvement in the performance. But from the second time onwards, not only the user 2, let us say user 3, user 4, whoever is nearest to this edge location, whenever they try to access the same object, it will be downloaded or it will be loaded from the nearest edge location. Instead of 10 milliseconds of time, they might get the data within 2 milliseconds. This is what the CloudFront is. This is what the CloudFront is. To explain this CloudFront, the most important thing is the cache, right? Means the content will be cached across the edge locations and the user can load the data from the nearest edge location. So whenever I use a word called a cache, I took the example of your browser's cache, right? Browser's cache, in which I said the data will be cached or stored for a like temporary purpose, like for a period of some time, right? In the same way, what is the TTL that is called as a TTL, time to live? Time to live. By default, the TTL for the CloudFront distribution is 24 hours, which means every 24 hours, the cache will be cleared in the edge locations and the data will be cached from the origins every time, which means the cached content from the edge locations will be expired every 24 hours and a new content will be cached from the origin. At this point, you might have a question. You might get some question. That might be an important one. Okay, let us say assume that every day at 6 a.m. the data will be cached. I mean, the cache will be cleared and a fresh copy will be cached. Let us say this is something called an advertisement. Image.jpg is an advertisement. Let us say the administrator uploaded one image which says flat 90% discount or flat 90% off, and he uploaded this image at 8 a.m. So for that day, already cache got cleared at 6 a.m. Again, the next day at 6 a.m., the cache will be cleared, which means this image.jpg has been updated by the admin. Earlier, it was just, let us say, 10% off, and he updated at 8 a.m. like 90% off, which means the users cannot see the updated content from the edge locations because the next day it will be cleared. In this context, we have something called manual invalidation. Means we can invalidate a specific object manually so that that image will be cleared from the edge location immediately and a fresh copy will be cached from the origin. But this manual invalidation is chargeable. I can say charges applicable. During the practical, I will show you like how can we manually invalidate any object instantly. So already I said origin is the location from where the content to be delivered. The best example is S3 bucket or any websites or web applications and so on. Anything using web content, websites like which runs on 80 and 443 objects. Whenever you want to expire the object from the edge locations before the TTL time to live, then we can manually clear using a manual invalidation, and the manual invalidation cost you some extra money. Some extra money. Okay, now let us let us see like how to create the CloudFront distribution and all the things. Create a CloudFront distribution with S3 bucket as origin. So what all we have to do? So prerequisites, you must have one image. You can download an image or you can click a picture from your mobile phone, but that should not be like small images, like 100 KB, 50 KB, because you can't identify that difference between with the CloudFront and without CloudFront. Because if the object is small, instantly that get loaded. Okay, I will show you so that we'll get some clarity on that. Create S3 bucket. Let me say the name as CloudFront. Today's date, 03 April 2025 in Northern Virginia. Don't create in Hyderabad region or Mumbai region if you are in India, because already you are closer to the bucket. Then you can't observe the difference. So create in a region which is far away from you. So here I will enable ACL while creating the bucket because the object must be public. To make the any object public, I must disable lock all public access. Okay, then upload any HD image as public object. Already I downloaded few images which are like more than 2 MB and up to 3 MB. I already named it as image.jpg. Now access the image using the object URL. Means without the CloudFront distribution, we are trying to access the image and observe the time taken to load the image. Then create CloudFront distribution and note down the CloudFront URL. Then what we have to do, access the content using the CloudFront URL and observe the latency, or I can say loading time. Image will be loaded quickly. Image will be loaded quickly. Once we done this practical, then we can see how can we do the invalidation. We will upload a new image with the same name so that it will be updated in the origin, but it can't be replicated across the edge locations. Then we will see like how can we do invalidation and all. And then most important thing is a cleanup, because I don't want to get some extra charge and all. So once I complete the practical, I will delete everything. I will include that in this particular video, how to clean up and all. Right. So then let us go with the practical. So let me go to the S3. Make sure we are creating the bucket in the Northern Virginia. I mean, that doesn't mean we can't do in Hyderabad. You can, but you can't observe the difference between before CloudFront and after CloudFront. That's why I recommend you to create in the Northern Virginia. Okay, so click on create bucket, bucket name, ACLs enabled, and disable block all public access. That's it. And then click on create bucket. What happened? Okay, so here no uppercase. So the bucket is getting created, just done. So here is the bucket. Let me upload an image, add files. Let me go to the downloads. Yeah, here is the one which is a 3.7 MB in size. And click on upload. Object is getting uploaded. Yep, it's uploaded. Note down the object URL because we need to check how much time it takes to load the object. Access denied. Why? The object is not yet public. Let me make that as a public. Without making any object public, we can't access that object using the object URL. Okay. Now see, this is the, see here, image is loading in bits and pieces because it took some time to load all the way from Northern Virginia to my laptop, right? Okay, now let us proceed with CloudFront distribution. With the help of a CloudFront, we can improve that part. We can improve the loading time and all. How to do that? In the search, type CloudFront, Global Content Delivery Network. Click on the CloudFront. So here, click on Create Distribution. There are already few distributions. Ignore that. Let me delete that one. Okay, this is for my website, a static website, the cloudlearn.com. That also I'm using the CloudFront distribution to allow users to access it. And basically, there's a simple website, a static website, which I hosted on S3 bucket. Okay, now here, click on Create Distribution, Origin Domain. Where is that origin? S3 bucket. Which bucket? This one, CloudFront 03 April 2025. That is the origin. Origin path, that's optional, not required. And keep everything as it is. And viewer protocol policy HTTP and HTTPS, that's okay. You can keep everything as it is. Automatically, the recommended settings will be automatically selected. So at this point, don't use any web application firewall and all because we don't know. I mean, you guys, uh, haven't completed what is a web application firewall and all. So just do not enable security protections, and this is a chargeable. If you enable this, it is a chargeable. Okay, price class. Use all edge locations means your data will be cached across all the edge locations across the globe. If you select this one, North America and Europe, when to choose what one? Let us say your end users are located only in North America and Europe. You can choose this one and the charges will be less. If you choose this one, all edge locations will maintain the copy of your content and it will cost you some extra money. Okay, then scroll down. Default root object means in your bucket you might have a multiple objects, but by default, which object you would like to load. So here by default, I would like to load image.jpg. Description, I can say my hands-on distribution, some name. Then click on create a distribution. CloudFront distribution will be created. At this point, what exactly is happening is this is getting created. This is getting created, which is connected to S3 bucket. Now this user will try to access the object using the CloudFront so that the request will go to the nearest edge location. But for the first time, this edge location doesn't contain the image.jpg. It will go to the CloudFront and it will download, it will cache in the edge location. From that moment onwards, in this particular surrounding users, whoever is close to the edge location 3, from the second time onwards, those users can get the data from this edge location with in no time. Means the performance will be improved. Okay, so here, what is the status? Successfully created new distribution, but the last modified status is deploying. Still, it is getting deployed because this has to be updated across all the edge locations. So it will take some time, like a few minutes of time. I will show you. Just refresh. This is the one, right? See here, deploy. But anyways, so this is the CloudFront domain name, means that web content to be accessed using this particular CloudFront distribution domain name. Let me note down that. This is the one. Earlier, we have seen the object URL. Just you can observe the difference. I mean, you can identify object URL and CloudFront distribution URL are different. This can be replaced with your custom domain name. Let us say if you are working for a company called abc.com, then you can ask the users to use abc.com instead of this randomly generated URL. But for that, you need to register domain name. You need to create some alias record, which we will cover in the Route 53 topic. There is a service called Route 53 in which we can see how your own domain name, your own website name to be pointed to these kind of customized names. Okay, right. So let us check what's the status of the distribution. Let me do a quick refresh here. Still, it is deploying. But anyways, okay, where is the CloudFront URL? Let me copy that. This is the CloudFront URL. See here. Whenever I type like this, first the request will go to the nearest edge location, and the nearest edge location will cache the object from the CloudFront origin. And from now onwards, if I refresh, don't do a simple refresh, press Control F5 so that it won't get loaded from your browser's cache. Control F5, see here, you can't see or you can't identify that the image is getting loaded in bits and pieces. I'm doing this, Control F5, or you can close and just you can reopen, because this image is getting downloaded from the nearest edge location. I am based out of Hyderabad, so there is a edge location in the Hyderabad, and this image will be loaded from the Hyderabad's edge location. Because I am already closer, so image will be loaded quickly. Okay, now we have to check the manual invalidation. Manual invalidation. What is the manual invalidation? Already I explained, right? Manual invalidation. Manual invalidation is the process of expiring the objects from the edge location before the TTL, and manual invalidation is chargeable. How to check that? Upload a new image or a different image with the same name. With the same name. Like means you updated the existing image, and access the CloudFront distribution URL and observe that you are getting the old content, means old image. Then perform manual invalidation against image.jpg. This is to expire the image from the edge locations cache. Then what we have to do? Check the CloudFront distribution URL and observe the latest content is getting delivered. Let us do it quickly. Okay, so first what I do is I need an image. So I'm going to update, I'm going to upload this image, okay, with the same name. How to do that? Go to the S3 bucket, click on upload, add files, image.jpg. Let me make it public. Upload. Image is getting uploaded. Yep, done, right? Okay, now let me use the CloudFront distribution URL because it will never change. For your CloudFront distribution, the URL is going to be the same. Let me try to access. What happened? Still, I'm getting the old image. I can do Control F5, you use a different browser, whatever, that doesn't matter. Still, I'm getting outdated content. At this stage, we can perform manual invalidation. How to do that? Go to the CloudFront service, click on your distribution. Here you can see one option called invalidation tab. Click on the invalidations. Here, create invalidations. Then here you need to type image.jpg slash the object name, or you can use star also. I mean slash star. All objects will be clashed. If you want to clear a specific object, then you have to do in this way. If you want to do all objects instead of a name, just use a star. Image.jpg. I'm going to invalidate manually this particular object. Click on create invalidation. You can observe the status. Once the status is complete, which means that object is cleared from all the edge locations cache. Let it be complete first. Once the status invalidation has been completed, we will use the same URL. Just I will do a refresh and a new object, I mean the new or updated content will be delivered. Status is completed, right? Okay, let me do a refresh. See here. Or if we what happens if we don't do a manual invalidation? We have to wait for the next 24 hours. Whenever the 24 hours complete, every 24 hours, objects will expire automatically, right? Based on the TTL, time to live. The new content will be delivered after 24 hours, right? So now, because if as it is a chargeable, CloudFront is a chargeable, I mean, it's a free tier, but once you exceed the free tier, obviously you will be charged. How to clean up? Once we are done with the topic, you have to delete, right? How to do that? So first you need to select the distribution and you need to disable it, which might take a few minutes of time. Wait up to 5 minutes. And you can see the status has disabled, but last modification is still getting deployed. Once it is success, I mean, if you see some date or time here, then the moment once you select this distribution, you will get the delete button. Just click on delete. That's how you can get rid of any unnecessary charges. Okay, right. So I hope the CloudFront topic is clear for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section and I will be happy to help you. Thank you, everyone.